All right. Hey, everyone. This is Andrew Lamana, head of business here at FIA Tech, and we will kick off. So thanks for everyone for coming together. Today, we've got a good agenda here. We're going to go through the Atlantis product and how we've expanded it to include U.S. listed options. Very lucky to be here with Aaron Carries, who is our VP of Client Services. We can kick off this slide, please. Just a few logistics here. We are going to have a Q&A, so please use the question function in the Zoom box, ask any questions, and we will go through them towards the end. Many are familiar, of course, with FIA Tech. Just a quick background here and where Atlantis fits in the overall product stack. So as a company, we strive to bring standardization and technological efficiency to all market participants in ETD. We have a long history of an ETD as a wholly owned subsidiary of FIA. Most recently, and then through the spin out away from FIA Tech, we've been able to expand that set into a number of new additional services. We see ourselves embedded in the client workflow and onboarding process in CTC reporting. Obviously have a very, very long experience in creating a repository for the give-up agreement and the associated rate schedule. That service has been expanded to include additional fee and commission types being used by both the buy and the sell side to just further that process of operational efficiency. Spent quite a lot of time here in Atlantis. This again is our brokerage settlement platform. Been the industry standard and a payment utility in futures for a very long time. And now this year has been expanded to include US equity options and next year to include block trades. Another major line in our product stack is reference data. Again, we have strong relationships with 80 exchanges globally, 1,000 indices globally, and we use that to draw down exchange fees, position limits, and quite a lot of operational data related to product identifiers, symbology, cash and collateral, and so on. Lastly, TDN is a new platform we have expanded this year, just gone live now across the buy and the sell side. Again, providing full transparency into the operational life cycle of a trade from execution through allocation, clearing, bringing the market together to provide transparency and deliver that information out. Next, please. So Aaron, maybe I'll give this over to you to talk about Atlantis, and then we can go through the details of the platform.
Sure. Thanks, Andrew. So this is showing Atlantis, our cross-product brokerage. It now is available for the ETD and has been for years. It's the original product type that has been settling in Atlantis since its launch in 2017. Settling at this point between 40 and 70 million USD monthly, and it offers settlement across 85 global exchanges in that system. We have 46 firms live settling ETD for brokerage in the system. Recently, within that last year, we've added in US listed options. At this point, we have 7 different firms that are live and settling as of July 2021. We're settling around $30 million USD monthly, and that number is growing as we are adding in additional firms. Additional firms are testing and then going live settling in there. We are also introducing rate schedules as well as fee calculation at the end of this year. We have some future products coming up as well, such as alleged blocks that we're kicking off shortly. These alleged blocks are those cleared off exchange transactions, and those are being introduced in Q1 of next year. This activity will be sourced when available from the exchange feeds. So for example, the ICE block trades or from IDBs submitting those into the system. And then we have future products that have, been raised that would be great to put in Atlantis, such as OTC, equities. We're looking into those in the future as well. That really will give firms the ability to settle all of these different types of brokerage and fees all in one place, have reporting and teams all logging in and viewing these different types of fees in one place. Anything else to add, Andrew?
No, I think that's good for now.
All right, great. Now we'll delve in and specifically talk about US listed options. Again, any questions that you have, we are going to hold those questions until the end. Please submit them through Zoom, and we'll do a Q&A with Andrew and myself at the end here. So just a quick overview of some of the challenges, why we're leveraging Atlantis to solve some of those issues, and then some of our long-term goals at FIA Tech as well. So some of those industry challenges that are affecting folks for US listed options is a big disparity across firms in their level of automation across US listed options. Some firms are very manually invoicing these in different invoice formats, in different timetables, that sort of thing. So we're looking to automate some of that, as well as just to all have them in the same formatting. A lot of firms list that they have large age brokerage profiles for these US listed options. And there's also just minimal standardization across the CMTA agreement, across rate schedules, account framework, that sort of item. So we're leveraging Atlantis to get those CMTA trades and transfers sent into Atlantis directly, either from the OCC or from the participant trade source itself. And FIA Tech works with that participant to standardize that trade data and feed it into Atlantis on a daily basis. Also looking to utilize Atlantis to standardize that electronic workflow process already utilized by ETD brokerage. So we'll go over what that exact workflow looks like today, both for ETD as well as USLO, and how that would work on a monthly basis to settle that. There are also some additional automation and reconciliation options available using our tool eRex that some of our firms are already using for their ETD brokerage. So it's we have the easy ability to also leverage that tool for the US listed option settlement as well. And then we'll touch on this a bit later, but we are introducing actually this quarter rate schedules, as well as additional fee calculations that are in addition to the ETD fee calculations available in the system today. Some long-term goals for FIA Tech is having a repository for those CMTAs and actionable IDs and accounts, adding in commissions and exchange fee calculation, doing reconciliation of exchange fees themselves, and additional client and regulatory reporting. So just wanted to provide some background on what we're really trying to solve here. One of the main areas that we're trying to work to solve is just that very manual process today that's affecting firms and the ability to quickly settle these US listed options. So gaps in data and reconciliations, high headcount solutions with that's no longer optimal. We're pushing for the straight-through processing options. So integration with the OCC is providing a better and more clear view of the trades and the brokerage amounts. And we're also automated payments reconciliation offered with cost efficiencies.
I think the only thing I'd add there is that in a very high interest rate environment, it's just increasingly important for brokerage firms to increase speed to collection, increase the time to revenue. And we've seen that the backlog that's created by US listed options, whether it's because of manual invoicing or inaccurate trade data really does lead to that backlog. And so the goal here and what we've seen with our participants has been a rapidly decreased age profile.
Yeah, I think that's really a key, and also being able to reduce that head count that's allocated to settlement, whether it is ETD or USLO. Just this additional automation allows you to reallocate some of that head count. Last item, I just wanted to point out that we really are working towards, again, in the ETD space, as well as these explicit options, is identifying common root causes across the industry that's leading to post-trade disputes, leading to really long settlement times. Often if one firm is experiencing an issue with data or with a certain type of fee, whatever it might be, that's affecting other firms as well. So being able to create standards on how those are dealt with, how things are calculated, really can lead to faster settlement for the whole industry. And then lastly, by having this data all in one system, all in one set of metrics and reporting, we are able to standardize reporting and metrics for firms. So they are able to both manage their own internal settlement and how quickly that's settling on a monthly basis, as well as comparing their performance across the industry and ranking. This slide touches on the specific workflow within Atlantis. Some of your firms may be familiar with how Atlantis works for ETD settlement, but I'll walk through the steps, and it's very similar for this US-listed options. So step one is that FIA Tech receives those transactions and trade data on a real-time basis from the OCC. In some circumstances where we're not able to get that trade data directly from the OCC, the member bank submits those trades in their own format. We translate that and are able to feed it into Atlantis. Step two is that we receive uploaded rate schedules from the receiver participant. So whichever firm is receiving the brokerage is able to create and submit those rate schedules into our system in a standardized format. Step three, very similar to ETD brokerage, we take the trades and transactions from the OCC and match them to the rate schedules to calculate a brokerage fee amount on those trades. At that point, both the receiver and the payer are able to view that transaction as well as the fee amount, and the receiver goes into the system and affirms that fee amount. By affirming that transaction and fee amount, that firm is invoicing the payer, and the payer is then able to review that fee amount, knowing that the receiver has agreed to it already. At that point, the payer goes in and either approves or rejects that trade and fee amount. If it is rejected, it's sent back to the receiver with a reason. The receiver is then able to, update or provide more feedback to the payer to get that to settle. And then step six is the actual settlement. We have monthly settlement in the Atlantis system where we draw down from firms' bank accounts at the end of the month and then send credits to the receiver participants. Anything that's affirmed and approved at the end of the month would then go towards that settlement cycle and automatically settle. And this is really an area that we see as a huge benefit to firms. You're no longer waiting for the bank to send funds when they receive an invoice. You know that whatever has been affirmed and approved is going to automatically settle at the end of the month. Firms also get standardized reporting at the end of each month on what has settled. Any transactions and fees that do not settle in that first month would be able to settle in future months in the system. Again, any questions that firms might have about how this settlement cycle works, please do send them in the question option in Zoom, and we'll answer those at the end of the call. Today, we have 7 major banks and brokers live and settling each month in the system. We are additionally testing with some additional firms as well. So we have great industry support in here. We also have a daily trade file that we're receiving from the OCC. And that directly is sent into Atlantis and displays for firms so they know they're receiving that trade data, in the same format across all of their counterparties in our system. 18 option markets are in scope in that OCC file that we receive daily into the Atlantis system. Some key stats that we wanted to highlight for folks is that year to date, we have processed and settled 24.5 million USD in the system. And that ends up being about 27 million contracts that were settled in the system year to date. You can see what the top 3 products are that we've listed out here. And you can see that we are onboarding additional trade volume over time. So you can kind of see that trend growing from January at the beginning of this year as we've onboarded a couple of additional participants throughout this year. That is, a trend that we hope to see continuing. So, at the end in October, we have 7 live participants. And as firms continue to test and continue to onboard, we see that growing as well. This is just a little bit of a different look at that volume. This is showing the trades that are invoiced and affirmed in our system for each month. So the affirmation is what's coming from the receiver. That means that they have the trades, again, from the OCC. There's a fee amount on there, and they affirm it and invoice that to their payer. So as you can see, the green bar is showing the total amount that has been affirmed and invoiced. Year to date, that's at $7.4 million invoiced. The red shows the amount of trade volume or dollar amount that is sitting in the system unaffirmed. So as you can see, going back to January, there are still a very small amounts that might be sitting in the system where there is some back and forth between the payer and receiver deciding on what the fee amounts should still be. And so those are sitting unaffirmed. Again, we see this trend upward. The amount of trades affirmed in the system and the dollar amount tied to that is steadily growing. Next, we wanted to discuss the rate schedules and fee calc. This is an area in the industry that there hasn't been a lot of standardization around previous to this. For the ETD brokerage, we've had give-up agreements that have rate schedules, housed in previously the EGA system and then docs for many, many years. On the counter side for US listed options, there hasn't been that level of standardization. So this is something that FI Tech hopes to really bring to the industry and also bring to Atlantis to really make that straight through processing just that much easier. So something that we're launching in Q4 of 2022 is a centralized rate card system, as well as the standardized format for that. The participants that are settling US listed options in Atlantis will have access to an e-module template. So some of you may be familiar with the e-module template that's available to folks in docs for the ATD volume for those give-ups. Very similarly, we've created an e-module template in Excel that firms are able to use to upload their US listed option rate schedules into Atlantis. Included in this rate schedule, they'll also be able to upload account information as well as legal entity information. Post the rate schedule upload, Atlantis will validate against the rate schedules and perform a fee calculation. Previously to Q4, so currently in the system today, what firms are doing is amending and adding a fee directly onto their US listed option trades. Going forward, these rate cards will be used and will automatically calculate that fee, kind of removing that need to manually post fees on the US listed option trades. Again, this should just add a layer of, remove a layer of manual amendments each month and lead to more accurate rates as well. If that fee calculation is successful, Atlantis will stamp the operable trades with the brokerage amounts as calculated from the rate schedule. Those will then be visible in Atlantis, both to the receiver as well as to the payer. And mirroring the ETD in Atlantis, there will be standardized fee calculation failure reasons provided to firms so that, for example, you believe that a rate card should have calculated trades against those trades, you will get a fee calc failure reason, maybe listing that the accounts are wrong, accounts need to be updated, a product might be missing from your rate schedule, something like that, so you are able to troubleshoot what the issue is. And for any of our current firms who are already settling US listed options in Atlantis who have been amending the fees directly in trades, this rate card and fee calculation is going to be available starting this month, and FI Tech will be in touch with all of those firms to start testing in the PSON system, start uploading those rates, start seeing what those calculations are. So we'll be reaching out to firms this month about that. So wanted to quickly review some onboarding steps with Atlantis. It's going to be very similar to the ETD process there'll be some initial forms and onboarding documentation for firms to fill out, although we are able to leverage the master service agreement that many of your firms already have signed. You may need to do some setup with your IT systems internally, especially if you are, say, using eRex. It may be updating your trade file to not just include the ETD trades, but also US listed options, gaining access to SFTP files, that sort of thing. So a little bit of technical work, and then completing the testing and training with FIA Tech. If your firm is interested, wants more information about what that onboarding process is, please do reach out to Andrew Lamanna, and we can get in touch about what that full process would look like with a more detailed step-by-step process.
We've had very successful proof of concepts. We've been able to effectively take trade information from firms who are considering the platform, load it into Atlantis, get it into the right format, and we've got some very generous other participants on the platform who have tested with them and really show that ROI, show that collection rate to the firms who are considering. So please keep that in mind.
Great. Now we are to the question and answer portion of the webinar. Brad, do you want to take it away with any questions that we have launched to us? Yes, Andrew, do you have any other last thoughts?
Not yet.
All right. Brad,
well, perfect.
over
Yeah,
to you.
got some good thought-provoking stuff over this way. And again, friendly one, if anyone does have any additional questions they'd like to submit, please do use that Q&A tool at the bottom. You can send those over. We can review all of your additional questions there. So we've got a couple good ones here. I guess was sort of a top one. Couple folks noting that they have a significant amount of volume and are looking to perform as much automation as possible. How does Atlantis and for USLO activity, how does this get automated and reconciled in the system? And then similarly, does the eRex tool help out with this at all?
Erin, please go ahead.
Sure. So for those firms who have a large amount of volume, I think, first of all, it's going to be very key to get those rate schedules in the system, just to add automation of posting fee amounts onto those trades. We do also have the option of a firm sending us a trade and fee file, and we will automate the amendment of those fees onto your trades for those trades that are not calculating against a rate schedule automatically calculating the fee. You can also utilize our EREX tool if you're already a firm who's using that for your ETD volume. We can also use that tool to automate the affirmation and approval of USLO fees as well. So have a lot of options there. I think, again, if you're a firm who has a lot of volume like that, we're happy to talk to you offline about some of the options to automate things so that you're not having to go into Atlantis directly and approve and affirm trades individually.
Excellent. Thanks, Erin. That sounds great. I guess a couple more questions just on overall system usage. Some questions surrounding front month settlement percentage of USLO and how's that currently looking?
Sure. So front month settlement of USLO for our ETD platform, as we know, we're settling around that 85% mark front month. For USLO, for the first half of the year, our settlement rates are looking at about 90% front month settlement. Again, for folks, if it doesn't settle, let's say you settle that 90% in the front month, that other 10%, you would be able to settle in future months as well. So it doesn't fall out of the platform, you still get reporting on that, and you'd be able to settle that in future months.
Excellent. Thanks, Erin. Another one, I guess, just surrounding some of the fees in the system. For instances where there isn't any give-up agreement, how does Atlantis for USLO end up getting that brokerage fee calculated?
Yes. So today in the system, we are amending fees directly onto those trades. So firms, the receiver firm is able to either amend it directly in the Atlantis user interface, or they're able to send us a trade file with all of the fees directly, on there. FIA Tech is able to automate stamping the fees on those trades. Again, launching this quarter. So right now we are launching those rate schedules. Those rates will match to the trades by account numbers, by the parties or the entity names, and they will calculate a fee amount depending on the product type. So very similar to the ETD brokerage, those rates that we're going to house directly in Atlantis will calculate those fees for you.
Excellent. Thanks, Erin.
Being mindful of time. One more additional thing on that point. So I think the other thing is that it's important to remember that all this is done at the trade level, right? So rather than having an invoice of several hundred trades, for example, get rejected because one fee calculation is incorrect or one portion of it is incorrect and the entire thing being rejected back. On Atlantis as an ETD and in block trades as well, we can have users affirm the majority of the invoice and then reject only those few which were incorrect with reason and have them amended for the next settlement cycle.
Excellent. Thanks, Andrew. Noting that we're actually getting to the half an hour mark. We'll, I think, close up maybe with just two more here and combining a couple of the questions we've received. Just in terms of the overall outlook and strategy for the system, do we have any sort of timelines and ideas surrounding the calculations of commission and exchange fees being integrated into the tool?
Really great question, and it really combines a few of the different product strategies that we have open right now. So you'll remember that our fees and commissions repository is an extension of the Docs platform. Many users use it to action and manage their give-up agreements in bulk. Many firms use it as a central repository for clearing commissions and other execution and commission types. That is currently being used in future and will likely be expanded to include U.S. listed options and other asset classes very soon. The other portion of it, which I mentioned at the start of the call, was around our trade data network. So TDN, of course, is a platform that collects trade data from exchanges, collects them from executing brokers, from clearing brokers, and matches that four-way match versus the buy-side allocation. That platform has been requested to be enhanced to include U.S. listed options and is currently going under the evaluation of adding it in. So we really see kind of the fees and commissions repository to include the U.S. listed options asset class, the trade data network being the chassis for that fee calculation and reconciliation. So we expect to be able to deliver a more accurate timeline next year, but it's under evaluation right now.
Excellent. Thanks, Andrew. That's really awesome info. I think noting that we are right at the mark for the close of the webinar, I think we can close this one down. Thank you everyone for participating today. And again, a reminder, any additional questions that couldn't get answered during today's session, please do feel free to submit them over. Contact info is in today's deck, noting that most of these will go over to Andrew. But thank you all for participating, and I'll flip it back, I guess, to Andrew and Erin for any closing remarks.
Yeah, one closing remark on my side. We will be sending out a link of the recording to this webinar. So if anyone had to leave early, or if you need to send this to a colleague, we will be recording that and sending that out after this webinar. Similarly, if you need a PDF copy of the presentation, feel free to email us. We included Andrew's email address, as well as I believe Stacey Janskaya's address. Please feel free to reach out to either of them with any questions that you might have, including and ask for a copy of the deck. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all.
Appreciate your time.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate everyone coming
Thank you all.
together, and look forward to speaking to you soon.
Great. Thanks all. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Brad.